Welcome back to The Person Everyone Needs. I'm Webb Hoggard, your host, and we are talking about with. The word with is the most important word in our entire lives. A few years ago, the Lord pressed this quote on my mind and my heart, and it has become a regular motto for myself. Time with is never time wasted. And I want to tell you a little bit about where that came from and why I think it is so essential and important. When you look at great men of God in the Word of God, a lot of times you can see that the way the Lord built these people up was the people who had influence in their lives. They were the people who were with them. David was not just the Lone Ranger of his generation. He saw a great man in Samuel, and he also had a great mentor in Jonathan. The great man that David became was because of those who influenced him, those who were with him. How about Jonathan when he looks at his armor bearer and he says, let's go take that hill, and the response is, I'm with you heart and soul. How many of you in your life do you have people that say, I'm with you heart and soul? I have some friends that have looked at me multiple times in my journey and said, Webb, no matter what, I'm with you heart and soul. I cannot tell you what an absolute blessing. I know I'm richly blessed. I'm abundantly blessed, more than I deserve, because of those who have seen enough worth in me or love me enough, value me enough to look and say, Webb, I'm with you heart and soul. Whatever you decide to do, I'm with you. Remember when Jonathan and David met one another on the day that David killed Goliath? It says that their souls were knit to one another. Their souls were knit to one another. Do you have any friends like that? Do you have any people that just even if it's a parent, maybe it's a parent or maybe it's a sibling, but somebody who it just seems like you can finish each other's sentences, you know them, so you're so in sync. The chemistry is so strong that it's a beautiful thing. Again, I'm a musician, so I've had a few people in my lifetime that I've had this joy where I don't even have to communicate. My body language, they can follow and know where I'm going in music because we are so in sync in our souls. There's a friend of mine, his name is Marky Palmer, and literally when we play, he's a drummer, or when we play together, he's a drummer. He plays everything he could touch because he's an incredible musician. But when we play music together, I don't even have to say, I don't have to give him a look. He knows where I'm going. We are in sync with one another. Our souls are knit in those moments. Everybody wants a friend like that. Everybody wants a friend like that. We want people to know us intimately, to care about us, to lean in toward us, to love us. We want that to be the case. So as we're talking about time with is never time wasted, I just want you to know, not just should we look at whether or not the information that we're discussing is worthwhile, or if we're sharpening a skill together, or if we're getting accomplished everything, the results-oriented person. There are times that you join in fellowship with other people, and it just begins to sync your soul together. You need those times. Now, you are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. The only things that have ever mattered on this earth are the humans that are here for a short amount of time, but then those souls are translated and they last forever. The only things that are going to last forever are people. I just need you to understand that people are not throwaway. People are not throwaway. We live in a culture where you buy something in a box, you throw that box away. As soon as you don't have a use for it anymore, you throw away. But humans are not valued based on their usefulness. They are valued based on their Creator. And God has given the highest level of value. He said, I've made you in my image. I've made every one of these humans in my image. And then he sent his son to die for them. What more value could we possibly find other than straight from the mind and heart of God and purchased with the blood of his son? People are valuable. Time with is never time wasted. The more time you spend with people, the more connected, the more loved, the more energetic. Hey, and the more opportunity for you to get yourself hurt, the more offenses possible. Absolutely, you're right. People can hurt. Nothing hurts like another human who knows where your soft spots are and then pressing into that. You're absolutely correct to be concerned. But I'm telling you today, There will be a time in your life that you wish that you had closer friends, closer connections, closer people who understood you deeper than what they do today. And the way you build that is not by complaining, about not by demanding. The way you build that is by loving. There's an old King James Version verse that it probably isn't the best translation of the scripture, but it says that he who has friends must show himself friendly. And which means if you're not, if you don't have all the friends that you want, then you might need to be looking for how can you be more considerate? How can you look into their lives? How can you meet their needs? How can you come alongside them and help them out? Everybody is looking for someone to be with them, for them, on their side. And so if you're sitting back and waiting for someone else to care about you, you probably won't ever find that person. But if you'll be the person everyone needs, which is someone who is with them, you might find yourself a friend. Now, I want to share a story that helped me remind myself the importance. Actually, it's probably where the term time with is never time wasted came from. Early on in my marriage, probably about 10 years ago, I called my granddad one day who was living right down the road from us, and I needed to get my vehicle to a garage. And so I asked him, I said, Granddad, would you mind to come down and pick me up and help me get my vehicle to the garage so I can get it fixed and everything? And as I was asking him, I was lavishing him with, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to bother you. I know you're busy. I hate to bother you. I'm so sorry that I'm even having to ask you. I hope it doesn't bother you that I'm asking. I mean, I just kept saying I'm sorry and over apologizing. And he just finally hung up the phone and came and picked me up. And then when he got there, I said, I'm so sorry to bother you. Thank you for taking the time. I'm just really sorry. And he didn't really say much about that. And he took me to get the thing. And then later on, he took me back to work. And later on, he helped me again get the vehicle back to work. And as I was getting back out, I said, thank you again for your time. I know it wasn't that long, but I hate to distract you. I hate to bother you. And so I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry. And he just seemed a little perturbed, and he left. And so a few days later, they called me and said they had lunch. So I decided I was going to go have lunch with them. I didn't get to do that very often. And my Lord, I wish I could go back and do that again, do it better. But I'll never forget, I went to go to have lunch with them, and I ate my lunch, and at the end of it, I was getting ready to get up and go back to work, and my granddad said, I need to tell you something. And I said, yeah. He said, don't ever apologize again for asking for help. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know I shouldn't do that. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that I apologize, and I'm sorry about that. And he was like, see, you're doing it again. Don't ever apologize for calling me, and if you're going to apologize, don't call me anymore. And I was like, well, I just didn't want you to think that I was expecting you to do it. And he said, I can say no, but the truth is, Webb, if you don't call me, I'm just sitting here dying. That broke my heart. That I was so busy, I couldn't see how important it was to spend time with him. And now he has died. And what in the world I would do to give him a call right now to have him take me to the garage? We're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, not just in death, in life, that sometimes we don't even want to recognize. There are people who love you, and you're wanting the affections of those who don't care about you. Maybe in this season right now, you need to make sure your eyes are staying on those who do care. I'm just sitting here dying. That's what we're all doing. Every one of us on this earth are just sitting here dying. We're just waiting until we're translated to eternal heaven or hell. So in that time, what are we going to do to help each other? What are we going to do to validate each other, to appreciate each other, to build up one another, to love one another? That's what we're here to do. The person that everyone needs is a person who sees how blessed they are. The person that everyone needs recognizes those who are with them. I miss that man. I miss my grandfather. I wish I would have called him more, and I wish I could call him now. But what I can't do is grieve that so much of what I don't have that I don't also make sure that I call my dad, that I call my mom, that I call those who have built me up. Like, I have been abundantly blessed with people who have cared about me and loved me. I have to be constantly reminded that I am rich in relationship. And so I should not be wasting my time seeking the attention of those who care nothing about me. Before we wrap up this episode, I want to tell a couple more stories of people who had great impact in my life. My papa, my dad's father, he died when I was 6 years old, and he was my best friend when he passed. We spent every day, we had breakfast almost every day together. I loved him dearly, and it was a huge heartbreak for me when he passed away. I remember he was a preacher, and he took me to church one time and dedicated me to the Lord. And while that dedication was taking place, a prophecy came that I would be a great man of God that would lead thousands to Jesus. Now, I didn't hear about that prophecy. Obviously, I was a baby at the time. I didn't hear about that prophecy until I was 18 years old. So the reason I became a preacher wasn't because of the prophecy. I felt a call of God later, but my parents weren't attending church at the time. And my granny, who I was telling the story a while ago about my granddaddy, it's his wife. My granny, when I was about 2 or 3 years old, she said, someone ought to take this boy to church. And because she was willing to do that, I got saved. I began to pray that my family would get saved, and my parents began to come to church. And it is the church that I now pastor that I chose at 4 years old that's the church I wanted to go to, and my granny began to take me because she knew I was going to be a great man of God. And no matter what I accomplish, I will never outgrow or outbuild anything that I don't stay indebted and appreciative of my grandparents who sacrificed and loved me and took care of me and built me up. And my grandmother still lives, my granny, and I do everything I can to honor her every chance I can because I'm so grateful for the investment she had in my life. She is one of those people that has always been with me, for me. I know that no matter what I do, what I choose to go, she's going to be in great support, and she has been a blessing in my life. Now, I say those stories because I'm telling you who I am and where I've come from, but who do you have in your life that sees your value and is leaning all in on you? My encouragement today to you is don't be pining for attention that's not being offered. Instead, be grateful for the attention you have received. Be grateful for what you've received. Be grateful for what you are receiving right now, and believe, don't look for, believe that you'll have a greater attention in the future. That's what hope is believing that tomorrow will be better than today. And so keep that alive. If God has brought people in your life that love you unconditionally, or even if it's conditionally, but the people who love you and have paid attention to you, then take time right now to be grateful for them. Maybe you need to write them a letter. Maybe you need to go have a visit with them. Maybe you need to buy them a gift. Maybe you need to remind them again how grateful you are that you have them, because in this life, those people go on. Now, they do last forever, okay? We're going into an eternity, but you may not always see them on this side, so be grateful for the ones you have, because the people who are with you are the people who make you. And the person that everyone needs is someone who has chosen to be with somebody. I'm grateful for those, and I look forward to being with you on our next episode.